We are analyzing the impact of Twitter sentiments on the movie revenue. The question we are trying to answer is, does Twitter activity affect the box office success of a movie? For this, we used a Python code to extract tweets for the last 7 days and assign sentiments scores to each tweet. A CSV file is created as an output to the code, which is merged with the IMDb movie dataset from Kaggle using SQL commands on Hive. After this, we use Tableau to perform our visualization and come up with our analysis. As 75% of the movies are from US, we drill down one level to analyze the data from the US. Out of the top 5 genres, we consider only comedy movies for more detailed analysis, since comedy has highest number of movies. We consider data for 2015 and 2016 since we anticipate more tweets of the movies in the last 2 years. First, we try to check relationship between budget and box office success to see if high budget implies a high grossing movie. Looking at the graph of gross versus budget, there is a linear trend and budget does explain box office performance to some extent. We also observe that movies with high IMDb scores gross well. Now we try to look at other factors such as Twitter activity, which affect the gross at box office. Looking at the distribution of our gross, very few movies make more than 140 million. Most movies make less than 100 million. We observe that movies that make more than 60 million had more number of tweets in the last week as compared to other movies.
We try to get the sentimental scores assigned to each tweet about a movie, and we came up with an overall score for each movie as positive, negative, and neutral. We observe that there is an overall positive sentiment on Twitter than negative sentiment. Based on graph, we see more number of positive tweets per movie compared to negative tweets. The average positive sentiment score is more than average negative sentiment score. So overall, we can say that people on average tend to speak positively about a movie on Twitter.
Next, we try to analyze the effect of Twitter sentiment on gross. We first find the percentage of positive and negative tweets and compare them to gross. Looking at the trend line, we see a very low R-square and high p-value for both percentage of positive and negative tweets versus gross. Next, we look at the trend of average positive score and average negative score against gross. Looking at the trend line, we again see a low R-square and high p-value for average positive score, but we see a significant trend in average negative score against gross.
Next, we see if popularity of cast on social media has any effect on sentiment of movies on Twitter. We don't observe any trend again. Intuitively, more the number of Facebook likes implies more positive tweets and higher positive score. However, we can't confirm that from the graph. Similarly, we expect a negative trend of number of Facebook likes with respect to number of negative tweets and negative score. However, we can't confirm that from the graph either. Therefore, there is no relationship between Twitter sentiment and cast Facebook likes. Next, we plot the graph of percentage of positive and negative tweets and compare them to the movie IMDb score. We can see that movies with higher IMDb scores have more positive tweets than movies with low IMDb score. Same can be said about negative tweets. Therefore, we can conclude that IMDb scores of movies doesn't affect the number of tweets. In our analysis, we considered last 7 days of Twitter activity. However, more insights can be gathered if we consider tweets closer to movie release date, that is when we see maximum Twitter activity. Looking at the analysis we have made, we can conclude that the last week's Twitter data doesn't affect the overall box office performance.